Good Wednesday morning, Mike Naso here with the latest on the tropics. We are watching a hurricane in the central Atlantic on the right side of your screen. This is Hurricane Kirk, a Category 1 storm forecast to become a major hurricane, a very large and powerful storm. However, it should remain out at sea, which is great news. We have a wave behind it we're watching very carefully. This could, according to some of the models, become another hurricane, and we're also watching disturbed weather here near Central America, in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. We might see something develop out of that. And of course, the recovery and the aftermath of Hurricane Helene continuing for our friends there in Appalachia and the southeastern United States. Here's the latest as of 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning on Hurricane Kirk. Hurricane Kirk was at 17.5 north, 42.1 west. Winds were 80 miles per hour, is moving northwest at 14. I can tell you, it is some 1,280 miles away from the Lesser Antilles and moving northwest at that speed. This thing ain't ever going to get anywhere close to those islands. And it looks like it's going to stay away from Bermuda as well, and hopefully the Azores. So if we could keep it away from all that land, it will only be a threat to shipping interests, and it will cause some large swells to propagate, but nevertheless, it'll just be one of those attractive looking hurricanes out to sea that we don't have to deal with by land. Nevertheless, forecast to become a Category 3 over the weekend, and then as it turns out, by early next week, Kirk should be moving out and weakening. Here's the visible satellite imagery. This is actually an RGB true color image. Pretty cool looking there. Kirk does seem to have some dry air kind of sucking into it there, but not enough to keep it from strengthening slowly. And so it looks like as time goes on, this will gradually strengthen into a Category 2 and then a Category 3 hurricane. Now here's the European ensemble models. They all take Hurricane Kirk right out to sea, just like that. And then a wave behind Kirk develops, and then another one after that. And then our system here down near the Gulf of Mexico forms and becomes a tropical storm and heads towards the west coast of Florida. And they don't need any more impacts in Florida. And we also don't need a system. Look here, where I circled. This second wave here, a lot of the European ensembles bring it much further west than they have Kirk. So that'll be something to watch right now, especially in the Northern Islands. You never know, even though it's starting to get kind of late in the year for that type of impact there from that direction. These are the GFS ensembles, same type of deal. Some kind of tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico with heavy rainfall. Some are showing another system here brewing near Bermuda and kind of swirling on out. So it's possible that we could have, geez, 1, 2, 3, 4 more systems. If we did that, look at this here, we would be Leslie, Milton, Nadine, and Oscar. So the hurricane season that was dead through August came alive in September. And of course, we've had a lot of dangerous impacts. We had Hurricane Beryl go through the Caribbean in early July as a Category 4 and 5 hurricane, slammed into Texas as a Category 1. Hurricane Debbie hit the Big Bend of Florida as a Category 1 storm. Hurricane Francine hit Louisiana as a Category 2 storm. And of course, Hurricane Helene, one of the worst hurricanes in the history of the United States. So this hurricane season really delivered, even if we don't get anything else, and it's not over yet. Here's another look at Hurricane Kirk. Look at this moisture envelope. This is a very large storm, a lot of wet weather. Thankfully, like I said, it's between the islands here of the Caribbean and the African coastline, and if it continues this northwest track and turns, it will stay well away from Bermuda, and we won't have to deal with it. Here's the wave we're watching behind Kirk, and the models are pretty aggressive developing this. Again, they show it becoming a hurricane and taking a track like that. So it's possible it could get swept up in the wake of Kirk. It's also possible it could kind of come under the radar. So we're going to keep an eye on it. We don't have anything there yet. Another wave leaving Africa behind that one. In the Gulf of Mexico, this area is definitely looking a little more interesting this morning. There is a little bit of disturbed weather in the Bay of Campeche and then another cluster here near Jamaica. But again, if anything develops right now, it looks like it'll be more rain and weak than a hurricane or anything like that. But we're going to watch this area over the next few days, and you want to watch it too along the Gulf Coast. This is a reason why. Look at the rainfall we saw from Hurricane Helene as the storm came on up. It wasn't just from the hurricane. We also had interaction with that trough that moved down. The trough moved down and weakened, and Helene kind of sucked into it. And so the combination of the two created a lot of heavy rainfall there in areas of Georgia and the Carolinas. And Helene's a deadly hurricane. It's not quite up into the number 10 deadliest hurricanes or anything like that, thankfully. But we're getting close to being in the top 20 there, and that is not good news at all. Here's some eerie images reminiscing about the flood of 1916. Again, this stuff happens, and it's always devastating when it does. People don't get used to it. We had Hurricane Agnes in 1972. That hit the Florida Panhandle in June, and then the rainfall in areas there of Pennsylvania and Virginia was deadly. There was flooding. Look at this flooding in Richmond back in 1972, and in Pennsylvania back in 1972. It happens, and when it does, it's very, very devastating. So we continue to monitor the recovery efforts there in the southeastern United States, and we will keep an eye on this area just in case anything develops. We don't want any nasty weather for areas there of Florida. We will also watch Hurricane Kirk and whatever comes behind it, and I'll be back with more next time.